everyone. Hi, Iser. Hi, Cart. Hello, chat.
Hello,
How you
hello.
all doing?
Very good. How are you? Happy New Year.
Yeah, yeah. Happy New Year to you too, and to everyone else. Yeah, I'm doing amazing. I'm here with our amazing UX UI team. Um, so I will be we'll be introducing. They'll be introducing individually, and then we can just move on to the questions part. But overall, very excited to do this. I'm also very grateful to our UX UI team to have decided to participate in this, and I'm pretty sure like all of you will love what they have to share. Yeah, this is going to be very fun. So yeah, I'm gonna pass to our UX UI designer.
Hello, everyone. Hi, this is Apurva, and I'm very excited to be here. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the chat. Yeah.
Hello, folks.
Well,
I'm Rafael, or just Hafa. I'm one of the UX designers in the team, and yeah, let's talk about the game.
Thank you. Hey, I'm Niklas, another one of the UI UX artists in Clash of Clans, and yeah, looking forward to answering any tricky questions you have. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Oliver. I'm also UI UX designer on Clash.
Cool. So that's our UX UI team. Let me know how's like the feedback regarding the mic because we are using like this portable mic, so I'm not 100% sure how it looks from your end.
yeah, the mic is fine for us.
Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah.
All right,
Sure.
cool.
Shall we get this started?
Yep. Welcome, everyone. So, for today's podcast, we'll be covering the user experience of Clash of Clans. We'll be going over the clan experience, the Legend League experience, the profile experience, the gameplay experience, and then closing off at the end of the podcast. So, let's get started. Our first topic is obviously the clan experience. We'll be covering this in two parts. First, we'll be talking about clan management, and then we'll be talking about the clan chat experience. So for clan management, I think one of the biggest feedbacks we've seen over the past few months, ever since the chat UI was revamped, was about a better way of managing the clan through maybe leadership chats and alliances and hopping between clans. So a question to the team was, what is their future plan for the clan experience as a whole?
Who wants to take this one, Rafa?
I can start, and then we will be moving the mic around. Yeah, well, first of all, it's very tricky for us to answer these specific questions, but I can give you like an overall picture of how we've been handling this issue. So first of all, we always approach every topic in the game in two steps. The first step is kind of an optimization round where we see all the problems that people are facing, like all the friction points in the experience and all the opportunities to improve it. So all the points that were mentioned by you guys, like the leadership and managing experience, recruiting experience, all these things, like we have a list of plans of how to solve them. We learn a lot with our previous iteration on the clan recruitment or notice board. We are still learning, we're still gathering a lot of information from there. So after we do this optimization round, we usually try to see like what are the bigger changes that we're gonna do in each one of these features. And this is something interesting because the clan experience now we are trying to approach it as like as a social experience. So we're trying to see this not just as how can we improve chat or the clan management, but how can we improve the social aspects of Clash? We focus on the clans. Maybe Apurva can comment a little bit more on this.
Yeah, I mean, as Hafa mentioned, for us, generally there has been a lot of discussion around how to make social better in the game, and clan is such a huge part of it. And when we say we want to make social better in the game, it comes both as looking at what's already in the game and improving it, and also look at new ways that we can expand that experience, either through clan or other things that might come in the future. Um, as for the clan experience, we do realize that it's very important to our players, and we do look at that feedback and see how we can make it better. A lot of things are happening. It's very hard to kind of go into specifics at this point, but yes, we are looking at clan experience, especially like the user experience of clans.
Okay, thank you.
I
How
think
would you say the Clash experience has changed over the past few years of Clash, and where do you see it going in 2025 and 2026?
Yeah, so piggybacking on our previous answer, I think we were able to improve a few parts. Last time we did like a pass on the chat, there was a lot of benefits, but we feel like we still have a few taps to improve in the game to make it more modern and to make it more aligned with what we want to offer to our players. So just to be more specific, like things like the way the clan descriptions work, like people have a lot of suggestions like, hey, let's make it scrollable, let's make it more like better to use, and we have like solutions for it. What we've been challenging ourselves with is like we are trying to not just offer like simple solutions that will mitigate this individual problems, but we're trying to offer like bigger changes on the experience. And I think it's hard to give a date because this is not just our work, it's work from the whole team, but we have a lot of good ideas about it and we have a big ambition for this year and the upcoming years. So let's see. Specifically about, we can talk about the chat later. The chat is something that it's a little easier because we tested other things and we have more specific points that we already have solutions in mind. But for the clan experience as a whole, current status is we want to change the social experience in Clash, and we are investigating what is the right way to do that.
Okay, cool. So while we're on topic of the social experience, how would you say you're feeling about recruitment in clans? And because a majority of recruitment also happens like outside Clash, and how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think we're aware definitely that not everything regarding Clash exists within the game itself. We know that the community is like making their own tools, for example, and it's not always easy to squeeze everything into the game. But of course, we want to try our best, and we don't necessarily. Of course, we're happy that players are using these tools outside of Clash, but whenever possible, we want players to like enjoy their experience inside of the game and not having to like to seek tools outside as well. Alpha, do you want to elaborate more on this?
Uh, well, I don't know if there's something specific for me to elaborate, but I can be honest with you guys in one aspect. Uh, the biggest challenge for us in Clash is that we have a lot of different players. So if we think about this call, like all of us here, we're very engaged in the game. We play a lot. We know all the ins and outs. We watch external content. The challenge for us is how can we make solutions that will attend our expectations, but we will also introduce like very casual players that don't really understand what are the benefits of the social parts, like how we can provide a solution that will make us happy, but will also bring these casual players to a space that is more similar to our our standards on social topics. And this is one of the reasons why it's so tricky for us. And sometimes it's hard to find a solution that fits in this one size fits all category.
Okay, thank you. Acer, would you like to continue with the chat experience?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, you mentioned that you had more to chat on with the chat experience. So let's move on to this one then. Um, First, I want to just ask about the you know how when you type and you get this keyboard on your phone. I just wanted to ask, is there any plans to perhaps change that up a bit? Because I know that at least for my phone, it's only taking up around 30% of my screen, and I have a feeling it's because it's outdated. Is there any plans to maybe change that over so that it takes more of the screen, so you know don't misclick as much?
Yeah, I think like when we revamped the chat, we explored a lot of different things, and uh, the one thing with Clash, of course, it's like we're kind of like old game with old code, and the keyboard thing was kind of like this part that was trickier than expected to change drastically. But we did explore a lot of things that we didn't end up implementing to the game, mostly because of time constraints and other things that were more difficult than we expected. But I think it's something that might be worth revisiting at some point and potentially update.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, just to add a bit on the chat experience in general, I think the way, at least as UX, I look at chat is that there is some basic expectation from chat function. It's not something that's only restricted to games, right? We are using chat everywhere in a lot of other apps and any other form. So it should, at least that kind of convenience and ease should be there. And on top of it, there should be an additional expectation that this chat is existing in a game and it performs very specific functions in the game. So how do we also do that? So in terms of being able to use the keyboard well, for me, that falls more in like a generic expectation that we should definitely kind of fulfill and bring it at par with just regular chat expectations. And then on top of it, we also want to build specific kind of features which can then make your chat usage specific in the game much better.
Just to add 2 cents on this. So first of all, without getting too technical, there is one challenge in Clash that it's tricky when we talk about like keyboard and chat. The game it's in landscape, which is already like making things like chat a little bit trickier, and players play in a lot of different devices. So even my experience when I'm playing Clash on my iPad is different than when I'm playing in my mobile phone. So once again, similar to the previous answer, like finding the sweet spot, it makes things a little slower than we expected. But just to give some good good information about chat, there's a lot of good suggestions. Like I remember I saw suggestions about hyperlinks and replies, and all these things are cool because one thing we really want to improve in the chat, hard to give a date, of course, because it's a whole team effort. But one thing we want to improve, it's like how to better use that space and give people like a better experience when they are trying to navigate the content. So we're talking about like maybe clustering message or getting this system message like somebody joined the clan, 5 people left the clan, using that or displaying that in a better way, better filters, all these kind of things. They are on our radar. And yeah, I think we're going to be able to improve this in the future. We hope.
Yeah, awesome. Because filters was actually something I was going to bring up. You mentioned bringing filters up in the future. Do you have any like specific ideas in mind for what you plan to filter? Say, thinking about troop requests. Is that a possibility?
So I think all of these suggestions, they are all currently on the table. I think that we don't look at individual suggestions as like individual solutions. We are largely thinking of, okay, what is the broader system and what are the problems. So yeah, maybe filters, yeah, definitely we know that it solves a specific problem, but will it appear as a traditional filter, will it appear as something else? That would have to be decided based on the broader kind of vision for this new chat that we might work on. It's sometimes tricky to give very specific responses to things like this too early on.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. I might move on to a topic that a lot of the community might find a little fun, which is the clan emojis and reactions. Like a way to like express yourself, right? Is there going to be more ways to express yourself? Because right now you can use the default emojis, but in a lot of the other Supercell games, you can get pins, and I believe in Clash Royale, for example, you can even get those emojis that are customized to the game itself. So I'm wondering, are there any plans to sort of implement something similar in Clash of Clans, where we have Clash of Clans related emojis that you can react with, or reply with, etc.?
Yeah, so it's like, well, I can't like say too much. It's still very much like up in the air a little bit, but we definitely want to bring some form of emotes to the game to kind of improve the social aspect of the game. Our challenge right now is kind of figuring out where else can we apply these emotes, or if there are even emotes, maybe it's something else, but it's kind of similar concept. So we're exploring a lot of different options and hope to get it to the game at some point, but we're not sure yet when.
Exciting. I will be buying. all of them when they do come out.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you guys. Just to add one practical example here, and I'm holding myself not to say much, but I remember in the last episode of the Inside the Builder's Hut, David mentioned something about this. One conversation we have quite often inside the team is like we ask ourselves, what is the clashy way of exploring whatever topic? And when we think about the emotes, we're thinking now like, what is the best and the most like clashy way to use that, to offer that to our players? So to give an in-house example, when I use emotes in squad, it feels very nice because depending on my position, I'm gonna use that emote and I'm gonna tell people like, yeah, I'm very good in this match, or oh my god, I suck in this one. So we're trying to find what is the most clever and most clashy way to do that. We have some options on the table, and I like that you use the right sentence, like ways of expressing ourselves as players. We are trying to find better ways to showcase who you are as a player.
So with that, are you talking more into the gameplay itself, or are you still talking about clan chat?
Actually, we are quite open to it going beyond clan chat. We can see the clan chat. It is definitely something that fits really well. We are very aware of that.
Yeah.
What we also want to do is to see how it can maybe move beyond clan chats as well.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So like in the game itself when you're doing an attack. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. That's one of the things we've been talking about. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. I might move on and ask you a couple more questions about the clan chat, and then we'll move on to the profile experience. One of the things I wanted to ask about was with the hyperlinks. Currently, when you send a link in the clan chat, it doesn't hyperlink it, and I wanted to ask: was that for security reasons, or is that just an oversight? And if it is an oversight, is there any plans to add it in the future?
Well, I'm no security expert here, so like don't maybe take my answer with a grain of salt. But I'm pretty 100% sure that it is a security reason. Like
Yeah.
it's probably to prevent people from linking all kinds of weird websites in the chat. So yeah, I would expect that.
Would it be possible if we could hyperlink Clash of Clans links in particular? Because some of these Clash of Clans links, especially the content creator links, are for giveaways. And being able to redeem them directly through the game would be quite a good benefit. Just a question out there.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think we can definitely take it back to the team. And like as Ollie mentioned, that we are not the experts on the subject, but in theory, it sounds like a really good suggestion. So we take it back to the team and see what they think about it.
Yeah, sweet. My last part of this topic was about the notification. Now, the notification is quite a new feature where you can ping someone in your clan chat and that'll give you a notification on your phone. And I just wanted to ask, would it be possible that we could include messages in that notification, or is that also something that was deliberately implemented so it would just tell you that you've been notified, but you can't actually see the message until you open the game?
Yeah, I think that also ties into, I can't remember all the technical reasonings for that, but it did also like bring up the question about like the creative ways of how players will use this. So it might be a bit risky how what a player might like choose to send messages, and we at least like don't allow you to spam this too much. But we're always a little bit careful about how the most creative people, how they will find some loopholes on how to use this, and these notifications are kind of like sensitive in a way. Like we don't want you to like directly communicate with everyone through notifications. So I think that was also more of kind of like thinking about how players will use this. And I can't remember if it was a technical thing that we were able to do this, but yeah. Sorry, bit of a vague answer there.
Oh, now that you mention it, I don't trust my clanmates. They could have been sending me some very inappropriate stuff while I was at work. Good thing it's muted.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll be moving on to the profile experience section now. So the first part I want to talk about is we've introduced quite a bit in the recent times. Like we've introduced a new hero, the Minion Prince, and we've also introduced hero equipment. And at the moment, the profile, I mean, it shows the Minion Prince, and I believe there are plans to add more heroes in the future, so that might be tricky. But also, it doesn't display the existing hero equipment on your profile. You can only see it when, for example, you're being attacked and you click on their heroes. So I guess my question to you is, are there going to be plans to revamp the profile page to reflect all of these changes in the upcoming future?
Yeah, that's a good question. Thinking back at the profile pop-up or the profile page that we have, it definitely started to show some age, and there comes a point where, like, when we add more stuff to the game, sure, we can like add it to the player profile, but at some point I think it does need a bit of an overhaul, and I think we agree that it's not really maybe up to standards and up to maybe what the player would hope to see from the player profile. So we have definitely like explored already like options of like how can we better cater to the player needs, and like almost thinking of it as kind of like it's something that we want players to share as well, like as a screenshot, for example, to be like, this is who I am, and this is like my player journey in the game. So then like newer additions such as new heroes and equipment have kind of maybe fallen behind a bit. So we are thinking of it also like as a bigger picture of like what can we do with the player profile. Even like we've like looked like other benchmarks of games where it's like, oh, this is what other games are doing, and like, hey, maybe we should step up our game with this player profile that is starting to show some age, I would say.
Moment. Yeah, as Nicholas was saying, we've been already looking at this topic. I cannot really share anything now, but I want to give you like a sneak peek on what kind of process we are going through, just to try to give a better answer. Like, we are trying to look at this as like, what are the type of information, what is the data that it's relevant for us when we're checking the player profile experience, and we are usually splitting this in the experience of like my player profile, so like who am I as a player, and the experience of visiting someone else profile. So this example of the equipment is very good for the visiting someone else profile. We want to see like who is Nicholas as a player, but I also want to see a good reflection of my progress. We are checking reference games, but we're also checking other systems that we like. So if I open my PSN account or my Xbox account, I can see there what I've been playing. Each one of the platinum trophies that I got give me that sense of, ooh, progress. That's nice. And we're trying to explore like ways to embed that in the game, and even explore like more of the minor details. So like profile banner or custom colors or a little bit of customization that always adds to that experience. So this is the process we're going to. But as like exactly what we're gonna do, we cannot really say now. But stay tuned.
Exciting. All right. If there's no more to talk about on that, I can also talk a bit more on tags. Yes. So I believe tags were originally made for recruitment. They're sort of like ways to express yourself, and I think you get 3 that you can put on your profile. Are you looking to enhance these in any way though? Because I believe these days they're not very widely used, at least apart from like being a cosmetic on your profile, if anything. Perhaps maybe turning these into maybe achievement based, such as how long you've played the game for, or Legend League finishes. And yeah, is there anything like that in the works, or yeah, have you got
Yeah,
anything on that?
yeah, I think that falls exactly under that data analysis that we are doing now. I think you were very gentle about the tags. I think they are kind of outdated and they don't really do a good job at this moment. We are aware of that and we want to improve this. So what we're doing now is checking like what is the relevant information that should be placed there, and what is the best way to portray that information. You know, we have some possible solutions, but we still don't have that specific answer that will nail this issue. But we are taking a look, and we definitely want to improve that. As I said, my profile, my player profile, should be kind of my business card for my Clash of Clans experience. You should look at it and say like, okay, Raf is really into, clan war leagues. This is what he did in that regard. Or hey, he's a terrible clanmate. He's not doing his duties in there. So we're trying to make a better usage of that side for sure.
Yeah, cool. And even from like an achievement based perspective, is there going to be a bit more of a focus as well on the customizability of your profile in terms of like say you like a way to express yourself or just a way to sort of decorate your profile? Because in other Supercell games, profiles have a lot more customization options. For example, profile banners, they can be achievement based, but they can also be purchasable. There's also profile pictures, and some games they're tied to the Supercell ID. So on that topic, is there going to be more ways to customize your profile, not so much from an achievement-based perspective, but more from just a decorative perspective?
Yeah, to answer that question, I think Clash of Clans maybe differs a little bit, or at least the way I think of it, because there is kind of in a way, I could almost like think of my village is almost like a giant decoration in a way, and it becomes interesting where like decorations itself, like Christmas trees, that's kind of those are almost like my badges of how long I've played if I have the Christmas trees from 2012. So there's like definitely a difference, of course, of like a player profile and your own village that represents you. So I think we would have to like think a little bit about how much of this self-expression do players like feel like they want to show in a player profile, because that might be a bit more hidden than your village itself. But it's something that we probably even have to like feel a bit like is there like a strong kind of like demand for players for this? But I can definitely imagine, or I know that there are players that would want to do this. So yeah, it's something we've definitely thought about it, but to what extent like customization would be available, I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, just to kind of add to that, with customization and personalization, I feel it goes very much hand in hand with utility. So once you kind of have a profile that people care about, works, is worth sharing, is worth looking at, I think the idea that people would want to personalize it and decorate it to give it a bit more personality is just, I feel, a very logical kind of progression for something like that. So we have to look at it as something that kind of is connected to like more core fixes, and then then obviously like players would care more about it, and maybe it would make more sense to have those features added.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Cart snuck in a little thing on the agenda. I think it's a good question. He asked for the Supercell ID usernames. Is there a reason why it's taking so long? This might be a bit more of a technical question, so if you don't know the answer to that, feel free to just tell me. But yeah, do you know if there's any difficulty behind implementing Supercell ID with Clash of Clans itself, maybe from a UX perspective?
There are a lot of shaking heads in the room. I don't think we are really probably like best informed to kind of, but we can always go back and check on this. But I mean, anyone else in the room who has anything else to add? No, I don't think so. So, yeah, we
It
can
was
look.
worth a shot. Worth a shot. I think that's all from the profile experience. So, Karen, I'm going to hand it over to you for the gameplay experience part. Take it away.
Okay, thank you. So moving on to the gameplay experience, I think the first question I have is about hard mode. Like, what are your plans going forward with this? Do we see future integrations in the game? Example, maybe a separate competitive CWL or in Legend League? Because also, how do you feel about the hard mode integration in Wolves last year?
Yeah, we're kind of looking at each other here because, to be honest, this is more like a design question or a balancing question, and it's hard for us to answer. What we can say now is that the team is paying attention on the way that people are using hard mode, in all the feedback about it, and we're always trying to explore different game modes and different applications of these game modes. To give a practical example, we had the controllable heroes experiment. That was one iteration of that experiment. We're always looking at the feedback and thinking about like what else can be done with this. The same is happening with the hard mode, but the only answer I can give now is that as a player, I really like it, but I don't know what is the future of it, to be honest.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, there were a few questions about the quick train slot. I mean, there are a few, but quite a few players also feel restricted with these. Like, there's only like 5 or 6. So, a common request we hear is for players asking for more quick train slots over here. Are there plans on expanding this in the future?
Well, so this is a nice question. I'm gonna try to think about my answer to say it in a right way. But in a nutshell, we want to improve the quick training experience dramatically. Not just the quick training, but the training experience as a whole. So being able to change between armies and selecting a different army should definitely be much simpler and easier for all players. And there are big changes coming up on that topic that will be shared in the right time. And I hope the team will not hate me for saying that.
Exciting. Okay. Another common complaint we hear is about forced spectating when you open the game and you're on a defense. Quite a few players just don't like sitting there and watching their base go through the same defenses over and over. I think a common feature request we hear is either they're allowed to either switch accounts while watching these replays or just not have to sit through these, like similar to how in Legend League you can optionally watch these.
Yeah, I think this also might go a bit into a technical territory where I'm a bit scared of answering this one. I know that it takes into account like servers and so on, but yeah, I don't think I'm sure how to answer this one, unfortunately. So I think it's I mean it's something that like as from a player's experience, I completely get what you're saying, and we've all had that where we open up the game and sit there watching it. So I think it's something that we'll also bring back to the team and see what
Okay.
ideas come out of that.
Okay, thank you. Then moving on, here's a question about spectators. So, a lot of players don't like seeing the spectator icon. A lot of players really like seeing the spectator icons. And in other games like Clash Royale, you can actually have live interactions while watching other people play. You can react with confetti or you can react with emojis. That might appear childish to some, but some players also feed off this energy. So in the context of Clash, like you said, what do you feel about this being like a Clash experience, or how do you judge these interactions with players?
Yeah, the little spectator icon is a funny one. Hearing comments about how players feel intimidated seeing this little eye of someone watching you. So it's interesting. Like, if we consider something like interacting with an attack, whether it's confetti or spamming emojis or something like that, it's something that we definitely have to kind of like try out and see how it feels. And we have to be a bit careful, of course, with that as well, because as we know in Clash of Clans, it takes 100% of your efforts to make sure that your attack goes right. So we don't want to have too much spamming going on there or interruptions. So it's definitely something we would have to explore a little bit. But as an idea, it's really fun, and I've heard this brought up in the team as well. So it's a good question.
Yeah, just
For
to
sure.
add
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So,
No, yeah, go on, go on. Yeah.
I think I'm glad this came up because it also gives us an opportunity to talk about something a bit more generic, which is that like the Clash community is filled with very different kind of players, and our challenge, or like what makes our job really interesting working on Clash of Clans, is that we want each player to come into the game and feel like this game was designed specifically for the kind of experience they prefer. Like if you want the game to be really social for you and feel like you're playing with a bunch of players and you can give responses and kind of express yourself in the game, you should be able to do that. But if that's not your cup of tea and you want it to be a bit more private, you should be able to do that too. The game should not be kind of forcing you one way or another. This is not to say that we are making any specific changes in that regard or removing certain things or adding anything specific. But when we are designing the social experience, which obviously this kind of falls into, the spectator and being able to respond to things, we are kind of trying to be sensitive to some of these things about our players. We would try to actually find the right balance so that it works for everybody, kind of.
Yeah, I think in the context of sensitivity, a common request is the ability to actually switch off the spectator icon so that they can, like Marco said, put their 100% focus into the game.
Yeah, that I can comment on that personally. I'm definitely the sort of person who gets nervous just looking at that. So yes, but definitely I think that's something that we'll make a note of and see what we can do about that.
Yeah, I think a funny anecdote here is one of our mods actually put stickers on the screen to cover the spectator icon while attacking.
That's a clever solution.
It's
I
very
like the
creative.
idea of getting your whole clan to spectate one person. It makes it like a horror game for them. It's all about mind games, isn't it?
Okay, all right. Moving on. So like Marco said, I believe also like Apurva said earlier, like the Clash community has like lots of different players who play the game different ways. We have people like Itu and Judo and watching this who have different kinds of players who watch their content, and also like the greater Clash community might not actually be searching up these YouTubers or Discord or the Reddit to actually look at content. So in the context of the trading stages, they stop at Tunnel 13. Are there plans on maybe extending it and featuring meta strategies or new strategies every month just to get the average player also used to how maybe the 1% play the game?
Yeah, I'm so happy that this came up. This is like one of my favorite things to talk about. About how we learn about the game, and the game has so much depth, and I feel that as specifically as UX people, one of the biggest challenges for us is to let players discover that in a way that they find fun and useful. A big part of it is practice levels, obviously, and how to kind of expand them and how they should be positioned in the game so that everybody finds them useful and kind of interacts with them. That's one part of it. And then, of course, we want to also expand the experience beyond practice levels, I feel. I mean, no specific comments on, I mean, this is just like chat within the UX UI function so far, but definitely, I think we are very aware of like what players find useful in practice levels and how to kind of make sure that we can continue giving them that experience and more.
Okay, thank you. I think building off of that, there's also the idea of um, introducing players to the competitive scene and pushing them to maybe watch these competitive tournaments and worlds. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Uh, Not specifically, but it's an interesting thought. I mean, the role that say esports play in getting people interested in things. Uh, yeah, I mean, no specific thoughts on that, but definitely an interesting thing to explore for us. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, still in gameplay, I'd like to ask about the many different leaderboards we have in game. So I think something that's persisted from the old days of Clash is we have gem rewards for the top few clans on the trophy leaderboard. Are there plans on maybe extending this to CWL or to maybe individual players? Or because I feel like it's something that's persisted but has really been changed since, and I feel like it might be time to refresh it.
At the risk of sounding like a broken record on the aspect of social, I think social comes in many flavors, and one of them is obviously leaderboards and being able to compete against other players. So we don't have any specific comments on, what kind of other features we might be looking at to expand that experience. Definitely, leaderboards have been discussed like many other things. So yeah, all I can say is we definitely want to kind of make our social experience, which includes leaderboards and other existing systems, much better and much more varied. So
Okay,
I
thank
I would
you.
weigh in on the leaderboard topic, because one of the things I really liked with the leaderboards, and guys in the chat, if you agree with me or disagree with me, please let us know. But that event, I think it was the Haaland challenge. You introduced leaderboards for each challenge that was time gated, and also I think it was based on how little troops you placed. I thought that was really cool. And I'm wondering, is there going to be something similar like that in the future, where we introduce these leaderboards with rewards for various challenges?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we're definitely overall we're trying to explore new types of events for the game as well that will probably also include leaderboards, and I think these different ways of rewarding the top players is very interesting, and we do have a lot of cool ideas, but I can't comment anything specific at the moment, but just know that we're always kind of exploring these ideas.
Yeah, we definitely saw from the Haaland event that there was that players really reacted to this leaderboard, and it was super fun for us also to see to what extent players are willing to go to compete in these leaderboards. So we definitely saw that and took note of that. The only little side note is that we have to keep some eyes on those cheaters. So it creates some some extra observing there, but yeah, we definitely saw that from that event, and as Ollie said, hoping to create new types of leaderboards from more upcoming events to see how players react with those.
That's great.
Another element on this leaderboard part that we learned from previous events, including Haaland, is that it's very fun. It's very interesting for competitive players, such as most of us. But we're asking ourselves, how can we make it interesting for other types of players? So, hey, if I'm not a player that can be on the top, how can this leaderboard experience still be meaningful for me? So we are thinking about what are the right ways to split that, to create different almost like tiers of experience so everybody can take a little bit out of that experience. But again, no real answer, solution, or dates in here. Just want to share how we are approaching the topic.
Awesome. I've been reading the chat and I've learned two things. One is that you guys love the idea, and two is that I've butchered the pronunciation of, is it Haaland?
It's
So,
Haaland, yeah.
my bad, everyone. My bad. Did you want to bring up any more topics, Scott, before you move
Yeah,
on to the Q&A?
yeah. So while we're still on leaderboards, I think when you click the trophy icon, you see this smaller league. I think they call it My League. I just wanted to ask about what their goal was for the user experience with that, because I honestly don't understand it myself.
That's a great question, and a lot of these things is we have a lot of these old systems in the game. They were probably implemented when the game was kind of made, and as we've come along and entered the team, these features are even confusing for us at times, and that's like we're always thinking like, how is this necessary even to have here, or can we rework it in some interesting way? And we're always exploring those features, but some of them, especially this one that you mentioned, yeah, you're right. It's a little bit confusing, and I'm not sure if we've even like discussed it internally. Like we've just kept it as it is because it's kind of like worked, and no one has really put thought into it. But great question, and now that you mention it, like we'll look into it a little bit.
Okay, cool. I think with that, we can move on to the Legend League experience. So I think one of the biggest complaints with that is dropping from Legend Leagues takes days. It takes way too long. We saw a popular complaint during Hammer Jam where people just couldn't experience the first 2 or 3 days of Hammer Jam because they were just waiting to drop below 4.9k trophies because other people were also dropping and everyone was just giving each other +0, -0 attacks. So if there are other plans of maybe improving this issue?
Yeah, that's a great question. And this is one of these tricky topics that it's very not hard, but like it takes time for us to get a proper plan for solving it. And to give to clarify this, we're always saying, oh, we're gonna bring this back to the team. Things like the Legend League experience, there's our perspective as the UX, UI folks. There's the perspective of game design, of economy and balancing, the data people have their points. So we are trying to like analyze all these different fronts and come to consensus. What we know now is that we know all the pitfalls of that experience. We're not happy with many different parts of it. And specifically that example that you said of like dropping from Legend League, it's a big problem that we wanna solve because in cases like Hammer Jam, the small pitfalls, the small gap, they're just like highlighted. It looks like you really see how deep they can be. But what I can say now without spoiling, a few questions ago I mentioned that we have something big coming up that will change the experience quite drastically. These changes will also touch things like the Legend League. So we have plans to change some elements of the Legend League without saying something specific till this year. We are aware of that. And yeah, just let us know, like, just give your feedback. We are here with the community folks. So every time people share their experience, share their frustrations and suggestions, we always take a look at that. And I can say that this is in our plans.
Okay, thank you. I think building on the Legend League experience, there were a few questions about the leaderboard because on your profile it goes up to 1,000. In terms of placement, I think like the other Supercell games like Clash Royale, Squad Busters, and Brawl Stars, etc., have the leaderboard going to the first 1,000 players also. So are there maybe plans on expanding the number of people we see over there?
Yeah, I mean, again, one of those like cool suggestions that have come up here, so we can always go back and look more into it. Yeah, nothing specific at this point of time, but yes, making note of some of these things that have been mentioned in the chat. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think with that, we can move on to audience questions to close off the podcast.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Nice start. I'm excited.
Okay,
I
so
think that, oh,
yeah,
can I ask the first one?
yeah, go on,
I
yeah.
have the list right here. This one is from Terminator, and his question is there a plan to add more achievements in the game? It could incentivize active play and also reward people as well.
I think with when we add new features and new town halls to the game, we always want to add new achievements. But I think this also falls into kind of us thinking about how to revamp part of the UI. Like I personally think, at least, that the achievements could be a lot cooler and more meaningful than they are right now. It's just not currently on the table, but we have been talking about it and exploring things. But yeah, can't promise anything right now. But yeah, I hear you.
So that's yes, but no promises. Kurt, do you want to ask the next question from Cool Sailor?
Cool Sailor. I might be missing this. Sorry, 1 second.
That's okay. I can ask it as well. And if
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
yeah, cool. So Cool Sailor is asking if the Minion Prince is getting a new equipment, or when. Sorry. Is there any sneak peeks on that one?
We cannot really comment.
Yeah,
No
can't
comment?
really comment on that.
Sorry, Cool Sailor. You're gonna have to wait a little longer.
Yeah, I guess you'll just have to wait and see.
All good. The next one's from a name I'm gonna struggle to read. Do you want to read it for me, Kurt?
I'm still not seeing this. I think you can go ahead. I'll look for a few other
okay.
questions. Yeah.
I will try to pronounce this. Raj Banandari 0724 asks, how are they going to make ore easily available? What about better recruitment? Okay, this is a lot of questions. How about we start with how are they going to make ores more easily available? Or are there going to be other ways to obtain ores?
Yeah, this is one of these tricky questions that it's more like a question of like game economy and game design, and it's very hard for us to give a a correct answer. What we can say is that we realize that this is a tricky point of the Clash experience and something that we need to improve for our players. But how to improve and how much we can boost these numbers, it's up to the other disciplines to answer.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I've been asking fairly old questions, so I'm going to skip through a few to get to some more recent ones.
Yep, I see one. I think there's a question about how you approach the UI design of Clash of Clans, because it's very similar to how it was maybe in 2012, 2014, and I think it's good that it's consistent, but could you tell us more about what you look at when you actually design these UI elements?
Yes, so it is a very dated looking UI that I agree with. I think all of us agree with that. We also use like the systems we use to design the UI is also slightly dated, so it kind of makes it harder to to push the limits there. But we have some plans. The trickiest thing for us is to kind of find the right time to do a revamp, or like figuring out like how much value will we get out of it. Like, is it worth spending too much time on it to revamp? But I think it's something that we eventually will have to do because it is starting to look like super dated.
I guess like all of us might have our own views on, like how we approach the UX UI for the game. I feel that for us, sometimes it's actually easier to like build something completely new than go in and change something that is already existing, because we want to respect what players like about something and not change things unnecessarily. Everything comes with this added sort of effort to relearn and learn, and that doesn't mean that we don't look forward to updating the game and making it easier to use, easier to play, more fun, all of that. But we are also trying to be as sensitive as possible to the history of the game and what people are used to, and that means that we will approach this, but we'll approach this the right way, and we'll approach it slowly and with a lot of feedback from the community. So that there are definitely plans on it, and especially the group in this room is really excited about it. Yeah.
Okay. There was a question from Prem Alone 17 about being able to about giving leaders and co-leaders more ways to sort clan members based on maybe their war performance or how they did in the last war, or maybe their overall hit rates, just to have like a better way of picking players for the clan wars. Do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I think all of these are really cool suggestions. And as we look at improving the clan experience, we're taking note of some of these things that we are hearing from the community. What is it that they'd like to see? What they'll find useful? And definitely, it's a nice a suggestion, and we'll keep it in mind. Yeah.
I've got a question here, which I think is a pretty good one actually. From players KP, and he's asking if there's a reason why in the social page, even if you add someone through Supercell ID, their profile tab still shows add friend option. So I guess this comes into a bit of a bigger topic here, where it's more about the friend integration with Supercell ID, and if there is any plans to sort of improve that any further.
Passing the mic along until someone wants to answer this one. Yeah, I think when we talk about this whole window with the social area, I think it's an area that's been a bit neglected as well, and maybe where Supercell ID has kind of like picked up some of the slack there. So it's something that it does has become kind of like undervalued, and you might like question like what the bigger goal and purpose is of this social page. But it should at least have like better connectivity with the Supercell ID, and yeah, this is I've looked at this page and thought that something needs to be done here. So I agree.
Okay, thank you. There's
Can
a
we
question from
one last question?
Okay, sure. This last question is from this user whose username I'm going to absolutely butcher, but I think it's Chaihan Viral or Kaihan Viral, who asked about the idea of implementing phone widgets to see maybe how much time is left in your upgrades or how your war stats are doing, or just other notifications from the game just as a widget on maybe a lock screen just to make the Clash experience more universal.
I love that suggestion.
Yeah, I think everybody here is kind of nodding.
Yeah, that's a really cool idea. Actually, we haven't thought about that. I'm not sure what like how technical how possible it is to do, but I would like to look into that. That's very good idea.
Yeah, I think I've seen some or I've seen this popping up in like community mentions, and maybe even someone had made some like mock-ups of like, oh, I wish I could have this, where you could just see all of your build times as a widget. Yeah, if we have to check if someone knows how to do this, because I think we all want this, but I think it comes down to more technical questions, like whether it's actually possible and how. But yeah, I think we all want that, so we need to look into it.
I didn't even know that was possible. I feel like a boomer right now. Yeah, if that happens, I'm adding all the widgets to my phone. That's sick.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I
Okay.
think that concludes everything then. Yeah. First of all, I'd just like to say thank you all for coming, Marco, and all the other Supercell UI UX staff as well. It was a pleasure to have you here, and I hope I can hear from you again more in the future.
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, this was been absolutely fantastic. Thank you, chat, for coming and for watching. Thank you to, of course, you guys, mods, for hosting this. It's always a blast chatting and hanging out with all of you. I'll pass around to the team to see if they want to say goodbye as well.
Hey, yeah, this was, my first time doing something like this. I really enjoyed it. And just to say that I think thank you so much for all the lovely suggestions. And this is something that I really love about the community, that they are so free with their thoughts and they always want to see the game be better. And we are always listening. So please just continue sharing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks everyone for being here. Thanks for the great questions. And just so you know, we really wanted to have this open conversation with you guys. We are treating this in a very natural way. If we don't know the answer, we are not trying to lie. And our main goal with that is just to show that when we say that we're listening to you, we are really listening, and We just want to come here and make sure everyone understands that Clash is a complex game. It's hard to get agreement between different areas. It's hard for us to prioritize the different issues, but we are aware of the things and we are trying our best to make the whole experience in the game better. So thanks for coming here and hope we are in contact soon.
Yeah, just on my behalf as well. Thanks. This was a great session, and definitely happy to answer any of these questions, at least the one that we can. And we're always keeping our eyes open. I especially love seeing something on Reddit, like people doing tier lists of their favorite buttons in Clash, and like even these like smaller things. It's great to see. So always looking out for those.
Yeah, thanks guys for having us. This is like, it's always such a fun time talking to you guys, the community. Like, we don't do it enough, I feel like, us as a team. So value this time a lot. So thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thank
and
you
with
for
that,
coming. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes. Always awesome to have Supercell employees as a guest on this. So yeah, really appreciate the time and effort you've taken to come on here. And
Yeah,
have a
we'd love
happy
to see you
Chinese
back
New Year.
maybe next year.
Yeah, I think that's possible.
Awesome. Well, happy Chinese New Year to everyone. And yeah, looking forward to the new update coming soon.
Yes. So do we. Have a good one, everyone. Bye, chat. Bye, Iser. Bye, Cart.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.